22 Magnum versus 380 ACP, the little cartridge that could. We have some Federal Punch here, and the reason why I want to test this stuff is because I have been wanting to test the Federal Punch through my 3-inch Ruger LCRX for quite some time. It's been out of stock ever since the day I bought that Revolver. It all of a sudden went out of stock, so it's been like 9-10 months since I've been able to find it, and I finally got some Federal Punch in 22 WMR. And the reason why I want to test it versus 380 ACP is there's a lot of people of the opinion, in fact most people, are that when you're talking personal defense, you don't want to go lower than 380 ACP. That's pretty much your starting point for personal protection, 380 ACP and up. But there's another sect of the population that's like, well, I get what you're saying. I would never say use 22 long rifle or anything like that. However, if you get the right 22 Magnum load, you're pretty much rivaling 380 ACP for energy, potentially ability to stop a threat. So that's something that I'd like to address here and try to look at and see how close a very well-performing 22 mag will do versus 380 ACP. So for my 380 ACP, I've never tested this punch here through this particular pistol. This is the Shield EZ. M&P Shield EZ with a 3.68 inch barrel. Very similar overall size, a little bit less barrel travel I would say overall than that 3-inch Revolver, but pretty similar. So I'm really curious to see what we'll get. So our 380 ACP is a 85 grain and is rated at 1,000 feet per second. Our punch is a 45 grain, is also rated at 1,000 feet per second. However, they list a 2-inch barrel for that velocity. I'm using a 3-inch barrel, so I think potentially our energy numbers might get kind of close to each other with these. So I'm going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. So I'm just going to go into plain 10% clear ballistics to see what the best potential is of these cartridges. And then after that, I'm going to do more of a real world simulation where I go through 3 inches of clear ballistics that represents our pectoral muscle. After that, we'll have a 1/4-inch medium density fiberboard that represents ribs or sternum. On the front of this, we'll have 4 layers of denim, and that'll be more of our real world simulation. We'll see how they compare that way. And then, as always, I am going to shoot at my steel target to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. So let's get started with this test. All right, I'm about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. First up, we have our 380 ACP, 85 grain rated at 1,000 feet per second. Let's see how close we get to 1,000 feet per second in my Smith & Wesson Shield EZ here. 10:31, 10:10, 10:30, 10:15, 10:25. So it's actually pretty accurate because most of the rounds I tested here are very accurate and looks like an extreme spread of velocity of only about 20 feet per second. So that's pretty good. 22 Magnum. This is rated at 1,000 through a 2-inch barrel. Let's see what we get in our 3-inch barrel here. 1196, 1196, 1233, 1194, 1233, 1276. That last one was really high. Case ejection, these are nickel plated. Oh, very good there. It's good to see that. So let's hit our ballistics gel block and see how these compare. All right, we're gonna hit our 10% clear ballistics block, just plain gel, no denim, nothing like that. This will be more of our best potential, just to kind of see how these bullets were designed to perform. So our 380 ACP. All right, let me hit that with our 22 mag now. We'll take a look. Let me do one more because that seems odd. It should expand at that velocity. Let's go take a look. All right, so I was expecting to see expansion and I didn't. That's odd. Now with our 380 ACP, there's definitely expansion there. What we're looking at here is an overall penetration of about 9.5 inches, which is a little shallow, but that's pretty typical for 380 ACP when you get full expansion. With our 22 mag, I don't see any expansion whatsoever. Our first one went to right there, about 18 inches. Our second one went to about 13 1/4. Our damage in our second one's pretty good, probably tumbled, but you know, no expansion, and you know, just not that good a performance from what I thought I was going to see. So let's put on our denim and our MDF, see how they compare that way. All right, 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent our ribs. Here's our 380 ACP. Let's see what this does. All right, let's hit it with our 22 mag now. Let's go take a look. All right, so I 100% thought I was going to see what we're seeing here with the 380 ACP. I see this all the time where, you know, you limit that expansion just enough and then you'll hit adequate penetration. So I trust this shot a lot more than what I trust just the plain clear ballistics shot. We have a penetration of about 13.5 inches. I'm going to say that's perfectly fine here. And we can see that in that first 3 inches, we are expanding. So we got pretty good performance because it expanded, but that probably just kind of shrunk it down a little bit. The denim would lower the expansion as well, and I think once it hits this, it kind of reforms the pedals a little bit the way it would hitting real ribs, and it's getting more adequate penetration. Now we can see with our 22 mag, nothing. We got nothing going on there. And we got a penetration of, I mean, it's a good penetration. It's 20 inches. And that's better than like Winchester Silvertip, because stuff like that, like Silvertip, Super X, Arm Score, anything that uses the semi-jacket will be up here for the semi-jacketed because it flattens the nose. With this, we have a harder nose, so it's acting more like a total metal jacket, where you get a little bit of tumbling. But from what I'm seeing here, you're not really getting anything with this punch more than what you're getting with, you know, CCI, TMJ, Total Metal Jacket, Flat Point, FMJs. I just don't see it. You know, I shot a round of this. I had like 5 rounds of this left, and I shot a round of it from a different box. Had similar velocities, and this was like 9 months ago or 8 months ago when I first got that. And I got expansion with the shot I took, but I'm going over and over again here. 3 shots, we're not seeing anything. So let's see what kind of practical shootability and accuracy I can get with these. All right, so here's a close-up look at these bullets going through our plain gel. Our 380 ACP looks really, really good. Very big expansion, and the size of that expansion is really what caused the penetration to be limited. Now, you could get an expansion that big with 9mm, but you're looking at, you know, on average about 350 foot-pounds energy. When you're looking at more like 200 foot-pounds with the 380, then it's a little bit hard for that energy to push it through. Plus the bullet weight is smaller, lighter, so there's less momentum, so it's not going to go very deep. Now when we look at it going through our plain gel here, what we're doing here is we're essentially increasing the sectional density because we're making the bullet slightly smaller in diameter, which is going to make it push deep enough. And this right here, I trust. This looks like a fine round because going through 4 layers of heavy denim, going through a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard, still getting a little bit of expansion, probably almost 50 caliber, and still penetrating adequately. That's not bad whatsoever when we're talking 380 ACP. I think this is a pretty good round here. And compared to like the Federal Punch and some others that I've seen like Hydroshock Deep, I'm going to say this is probably better than the HST, simply because, you know, that one felt like it had quite a bit of recoil. If I recall right, the Hydroshock Deep felt about the same as this. Very similar performance. So I'm going to say the punch is probably pretty good here. Now when we look at our 22 mag, this is really pathetic here. First shot through our plain gel. No expansion, the hollow point looks the same. Second shot through the plain gel is identical to the first shot. Going through our medium density fiberboard, I don't even see any clogged denim. It's just that, you know, we didn't have enough velocity and energy to expand that bullet, which is concerning to me because it is meant for a 2-inch barrel based on that rating. And through a 3-inch barrel, and we're getting a couple 100 feet per second faster, I'm not seeing any difference in that performance versus the cheapest FMJs you can get. Better than a semi-jacketed, but not that great overall. Yeah, I guess the only benefit to it versus like some of the cheap target ammo is this is a 45 grain instead of the typical 40. So you get a little bit more, I guess, damage if it were to tumble because it is longer. So that's what you get with those bullets up close. All right, 12 yards from the target. I get a lot of people commenting that, you know, 22 mag's a lot easier to shoot. That's why they shoot, because they get better follow-up shots. So I just want to see, you know, from a typical 22 mag revolver versus that Shield EZ, what I can do. So 12 yards from the target, let's see how I can do with this. I'm just getting a quick sight picture and popping them off. So we'll see how much more extraordinarily difficult it is to do with this. And a little bit more difficult because I got the safety to flip on accidentally. My hands are a little big for this guy, so keep going. As far as actual shootability, you know what, you get a little more muzzle rise, but I can't say that the actual felt recoil is significantly worse. So I just want to go back a little bit for fun, shoot from some distance, see what kind of accuracy I get on steel. All right, 75 yards from the target, not necessarily practical. I'll be honest, I just like doing this because it's fun. I enjoy shooting from distance and just kind of seeing, you know, how they shoot from distance. There may be some practical applications. One might be that the 22 mag is so much faster that maybe it shoots better at distance. So that's something I like to know. So 380 ACP, I'm going to shoot slow, line up these sights, see if I can make any hits from 75 yards. All right, looks like a couple of them went high. I must have been just, you know, they're shooting over the target. So it looks like my point of impact is a little bit high, and that can sometimes make sense depending on the cartridge. You get enough slow enough velocity. Sometimes the muzzle will rise a little before it shoots out, so it's actually on a higher trajectory than what you might have planned. 22 mag. See what this will do. Looks like I missed a couple. Case ejection is still really good here. Keep going. Looks like this had kind of the same effect because I was aiming kind of centered, and I saw one go high. Aimed a little bit lower in the silhouette and they kind of equaled out. Case ejection is still really good here. So honestly, the accuracy misses are all on me. I could just tell when I really had those lined up that these are some very accurate rounds. And I'm going to say the 380 is more accurate because I saw it on paper at 5 yards and it was making one jagged hole. I don't see that very often with this particular 380 ACP. Also, when I'm back from 75 yards with this gun, I do terrible. You know, if I'm using my 5-inch M&Ps or even my 4-inch revolvers or any number of other pistols, I can do very well. But once I pull out this M&P here, I start doing really bad. I can rarely hit from distance with this. So seeing that we're getting one jagged hole at 5 yards and most of my hits were on steel at 75, I'm going to say that punch is really, really good round. And when we look at our ballistic performance here, I'm going to say really, really good because yes, we got over expansion. and plain clear ballistics. But what I'm really looking at is going through the denim and going through a rib simulation, we're seeing very adequate performance. Everything about this is perfect, because you know, you wouldn't even get that little bit of expansion through the denim and MDF if you didn't get that really big expansion in plain gel and under penetration. So it's always that game with 380 ACP, is you can get adequate penetration through plain gel, but you got to make it so it doesn't expand. And if you make it that it'll expand through denim, it's going to over expand in plain gel. But what I'm seeing here, adequate. I think it's adequate, it's accurate, it's reliable. I would use that stuff 100%. With our 22 mag, this is a big disappointment here. You know, I get a lot of people actually accusing me sometimes when they see other people's channels and they do tests, and I've seen this stuff tested on other people's channels and it's done really well. I get accused of rigging up the test so that it would fail. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not that dumb and I'm not that smart either. I'm just shooting the gel. This is what we're getting on a given day. I get a lot of questions like, how cold is your ballistics gel? It needs to be 30 something. And I'm like, my gel, the interior is probably 68 degrees. Because it's not organic gel, it's synthetic. It's the same performance from, I think, 10 below zero to like 105 or something like that outside temperature. You'll get the same performance. That's why I use it, because I'm always out here in different temperatures and it's easy for me to truck out here. But I'm just really disappointed with what we were seeing with the 22 mag. Now, it's okay, but for the price you're paying, you know, you're paying $5, $6, $7 more probably versus the CCI, just your TMJ, FMJ. The one advantage though I am seeing for that price is case ejection. Ejected very well from a Revolver. And if you're using a semi-auto, I would imagine that would eject as well and feed as well there. So that extra for that alone is probably worth it, but we're not really seeing anything that's rivaling a centerfire cartridge. So the 380 ACP here, way better. The 22 mag, not bad, but it's not something I'd feel comfortable carrying. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.